Alright guys, we're going to do a little video series here on breathing and rounded posture and just generally negative, shut off posture that you see people walking with. So basically what we're going to do here is show you about 6 or 7, maybe 8 videos of how you can release this chest cavity, diaphragm, to really get yourself back and open you up. And as Marcus is going to show here, just
express, open your heart. Yeah, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
You can go 60 days without eating, 10 days without drinking, but try going a minute without breathing. You're dead. It's really important. Breathing is important. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a few ways that we can improve your breathing in a few different areas of the body. So first of all is the diaphragm. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get right underneath Jason's ribs here. I'm going to push that tissue under. I'm going to, with 3 fingers together, I'm going to get onto where the real tight, solidified attachments are and just hold it, pin it. So this is an area that never ever gets touched in your body, but it is so important that we can loosen that up so that your rib cage can really expand and you can get that full breath in of that life-giving oxygen and other nutrients that are floating in the air.
Right, another really important area to focus on is the sternum. There's a lot of stuff that attaches to the sternum, especially the pecs here. So up that line, that contour of the pec there, just pick up that skin first. Make sure we've got a connection with the bone there so we know we're on the attachment. And we're just gonna rip through there. Work with their breathing as well. So when they exhale is when you can push through some more pressure there. So anyone that has rounded shoulders or any shoulder kind of injury, rotator cuff injury, you really want to make sure you're focusing on these sternum points. Is that in your soul?
Yeah. You're breathing good now.
The ribs is something you probably think can't get treated. You know, if you've had smacks in the ribs from footy or just bumped into tables or whatever in the past and you've got these little bits in between your ribs that are just solid bits, we can treat that really easily. Had a lot of success with this sort of stuff. So what we do is we put our thumb in between the ribs there, and what we do is just really slowly trace between the ribs and drag that solidified stuff through. So plow it through like that. Just really slowly get in there and push all that scarred up junk, calcium spurs right through and clear it out, and then with that you can breathe again. Awesome.
Alright, so we've gone through the sternal attachment points cross fibre, so now we want to actually go with the fibre of the pec over to that shoulder. So what we're going to do is pick up the skin on that sternum and then start to flow through that tissue, just working with Jace's breath there. Keeping connection the whole time. You can see how this pressure here going up towards the shoulder is going to fix a rounded shoulder. Any rotator cuff kind of injury, this is going to help with too. And we're just working with his breath here as well. So letting him breathe in, taking a full breath, and then on the exhale, we're taking that tissue and just manipulating it. Just, you can see that pressure's pushing that shoulder back where it needs to be. It's going to start to get a bit hairy as you get to that shoulder joint because the tissue becomes a bit more superficial, but then you can start hitting things like biceps tendon, coracobrachialis, and more anterior deltoid structures. So it starts to get quite sore there, but you can see how much we're pinning that shoulder back and working out all these adhesive little bits. All right, good stuff.
Okay, now we're going to get stuck into the intercostal muscles, so underneath here. So these are associated with breathing as well. So we want to get in deep into there and push underneath the pec muscle and just keep on tracing between the ribs and push that stuff that's stuck in between the ribs just right through. Really free it up, get it going. So, power of the finger. One finger can move mountains bit by bit.
Now we're going to try and hit some more anterior shoulder capsule structures and work our way into pec minor there. So this is quite a painful treatment here, so we're going to go nice and slow here, making sure we're keeping good connection. Feeling things under our elbow there, just working with the contours of Jace. And his reaction is going to let us know when we find a good spot. And what we can do as well with our opposite hand here is just do a tiny bit of active release. We're not going to be moving this arm too much because it's quite a painful area, but we're just going to add a tiny bit of movement in there because just the slightest bit of active movement is going to change the whole feeling for Jace and for the recipient of this treatment. So I'm really sinking off into pec minor now, which is quite an angry little muscle. And then once we start hitting some ribs, we want to get a bit lower and then start driving our pressure down inferior because we don't want to put too much.
You can see here that Jace has got a raised rib cage on here, so he's twisted around. So what we can do is pull that whole rib cage over and just really flatten that down. So with a really slow, broad, deep stroke, what we're going to do is just really get into all that tissue, all that fascial tension and melt that down. Really drag it through like that. And keep on going. You can see how I'm really pulling that right down to all this stuff that's solid, stuck, can't compress, can't stretch. We're going to melt it so then that rib cage can really expand and that won't be so stuck anymore. So just keep on through. Ooh, yeah. Like that. I'll speed up a little bit. Like that. Get into these notches here a bit. And now if you look from down there, you should be able to see that that has really balanced out that rib cage, and you can take a real full breath and breathe life back into that body.
All right, so following on from the sternum, the work you've done through that sternum there, you can actually get into the clavicular attachments of the pec too. So starting basically at the sternum, and we're just making our way under that clavicle, just taking out all that solidified tension through that clavicular attachment. You can see Jace is quite built up around this section here, so it's going to go a bit slower. Generally this area can actually refer pain through into the back, so if you've got rounded shoulders and you've got a bit of back pain, this area here is absolute dynamite to release. Isn't it lovely, Jace?
Yeah.
Just beautiful stuff. Just giving a bit of active release in there too, just pinning it and taking it out.
Come on, mate, open up. You can do it now you've had the work. Open. Breathe in that life-giving air. I feel free.